Dan's got breaking news. Dan, what do you got?
Breaking news from Fox Sports.
Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins have agreed to terms on a new 4-year contract worth $212.4 million. This, according to multiple reports, the average annual salary will break down to about $53.1 million per season. That would be the third highest of any quarterback in the National Football League, behind Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, and just ahead of Jared Goff, whose average salary is flat at $53 million. But again, Tua Tagovailoa, who was limited in practice earlier this week, Doug, and then was a full participant today. Now we know why. 4-year deal, $212.4 million, according to the NFL Network and ESPN.
We don't know how much is guaranteed, correct?
No.
Okay, we don't know how much is guaranteed. I got to tell you, I don't love it. No one is willing to do what we all know needs to be done. You know, no one is willing to do what we all know needs to be done. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I'm willing to be wrong on this one. I'm not saying he stinks, but no, it's just a bizarre way of doing business where we put him in the $50 million category and he's not a $50 million quarterback. And I actually would think that the truth is that Tua's a guy who, if he was on the open market, I don't think he's getting $50 million. No one's ever tested that. No one's ever tried that. He doesn't have great arm strength. We'll see if he has increased mobility since losing weight this offseason. He's been oft injured. And he is surrounded by as much talent and speed as you're ever going to find. And so what happens is, look, this year he'll play under the old deal. Even though he'll get the new money, next year it'll kick in. And next year becomes the first part of the challenge of being able to field the type of elite roster around him. I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is anywhere near an elite quarterback. Just don't. Does he stink? No. But everyone said the same thing. He has to have the right coach, the right pieces around him, the ability to just get it and get rid of it very quickly. He has to play either in a dome in warm weather. All these boxes have to be checked in just the right thing in order for him to be special. I'm not surprised because, remember, the Dolphins brass, one of the reasons they moved on from Flores as their coach was he didn't believe in Tua. So those guys drafted him. Those guys believe him. Those guys are the ones that have said, he's our guy. We're sticking with him. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you know, Mike McDaniels came in. He got the job, and he made them believe, hey, I can work with him. But the bizarre thing is, this is what we do. It's like, do you guys remember videos of lemmings? And does a lemming translate to people these days, to kids these days? Lemmings are a small animal. I think they're like in the gopher sort of family. And they literally will follow whatever the one in front of them does. I feel like that's what the Dolphins are doing. You know, we got to sign this deal. Why? Why? You mean to tell me that Tua would turn down another year guaranteed if it was $32 million? And like, yes, he would. Really? Okay. You go back 2 years ago and people are like, I don't know. You go back last year like, he's really good, but has to be supported. And now the Dolphins are all in? I don't love it. It feels like those lemmings. And lemmings, by the way, were the ones... I don't know if there's a real video. I remember being a kid watching a lemming. One jumps off of like a cliff and then the others fall right behind. There was a video game like that too?
Yeah, it was a computer game, Lemmings.
There was actually a National Geographic video when we were kids. See, here's the difference, Sam, when I was a kid, when you were a kid. When I was a kid, we used to get the National Geographic magazines, not just in doctor's offices, but you'd have it at school, and that's where you could say, boobies! But also, there'd be some videos that would come with them, and you watch them in school someday, and that's where you learn about lemmings. Don't be a lemming. Don't just be a follower. Don't do something because the person in front of you did it. That's where it feels like the Dolphins are. And how this will translate is, Oh, you're a Tua hater. No, I'm not. I've watched him play. I went to Chargers Dolphins 2 years ago, and I was blown away by Tyreek Hill. And I was at least surprised by how very, very average, or the juxtaposition of Tua versus Justin Herbert in terms of competency, delivering the football, ability to make all the throws. This was in a dome. There was a complete difference between the two men. You do understand what this is the last week of, right? You know this last week of no football on TV. No football on TV. Hall of Fame game is next week, so we'll have football on television. In the meantime, let's get you to some of the stories and storylines that are, I think, more pertinent right now. Don't get me wrong. I can't wait to see what C.D. Lamb gets in terms of money. I don't really care. I mean, C.D. Lamb's going to be a Cowboy. He's going to play for the Cowboys. It's just a question of, does he play this year in the fifth-year option, or likely with a contract extension, et cetera, et cetera. The Olympic opening ceremonies are tonight in Paris, France. And it's one of those, and guys, if you don't mind, we'll talk about this on the pod some. Remember, the In the Bonus podcast is available right after this show. Just type in Doug Gottlieb download podcast. The opening ceremonies it's one of those things, it's way more for the athletes than for anybody else. You know? But the games themselves, what's interesting, gymnastics is going to be interesting. We'll pay attention to swimming for a moment, for a week that it's taking place. Track and field is always cool. They have some new ones like breakdancing. I don't know how you grade breakdancing or whatever. I don't know how you give a gold medal in breakdancing. But basketball, I think, is going to be a really hotly contested tournament. And on paper, if you look at the names of who we have, it's a very reasonable conversation in your brain to go, well, this won't be close. Over the last 10 years, the three best American players in the NBA, or the last 15 years, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, all on the team. Throw in Joel Embiid, who, foreign-born player, naturalized the United States, and you have four of the absolute elite players in the entire world. Then you round out the rest of the roster with the likes of Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards, and you're like, this is a wrap. Why would any of the games be relatively close? And yet, every warm-up game, every friendly is just that. It's exceedingly close. And so you're trying to rack your head, because you're sitting there going like, well, our guys, they don't play together all year. Neither do theirs. Neither do theirs. Now, some of them do come together and play together during national team time every year, but many of them, the NBA players, do not. The French players don't. They all play scattered. Now, did they grow up playing together? Sure. But it's not like they train, they live, they travel the country, the world, playing games together all year long. No, they get together, they got a couple weeks camp just like we do, and then they go and play. And yet they seem a lot closer despite the fact their personnel is not close. How is that true? And I do think some of it is, look, we're not well liked. I think we're respected. Or actually, no, let me finish. Let me go back. I think we're liked. I'm not sure we're respected.